Happy Monday and welcome to Casting the Net, where we care about your mental health and well being. I am Coach Rice, and I just wanted to come on really quickly and let you know that we are about to go live 8 a.m. Central Standard Time, and we are going live on YouTube, Facebook, also on the Be Awesome Network. So stay tuned. Watch this next guest. I think you're going to really enjoy it.
Welcome to Mondays with Coach Rice. It's a brand new week, the sun's shining bright. A chance to cast your net, step into the light. Life's full of challenges, it's a winding stream. But with Coach Rice, you'll find your dream.
Happy Monday and welcome to Casting the Net, where we care about your mental health and well-being. And today I have an amazing guest. I reached out to him and he said yes, and I'm excited to introduce you to Coach Jerry. He is a keynote speaker, mindset, and leadership coach. So, Coach Jerry, tell us where you're from and how did you embark upon your career in coaching?
Well, first of all, Martha, let me say that it is an honor and privilege to be here with you today, and I'm grateful that you reached out to me. So thank you for that. So I was born in West Los Angeles, up by near Santa Monica. Lived very close to there. Lived up there pretty much the majority of my young early years, teenage years, into my very early 20s, and then I moved down in my early 20s down here to Palm Springs area in the desert, where it gets so hot in the summer, you can grill steaks on the sidewalk. And I've been living out here for 30 some years out here in the desert. And so the way I got into what I do now wasn't on my bulletin board of things I wanted to do. Sometimes God has different plans for your life than the ones that you set out. I was in the network marketing profession. It was my first real profession I started in back when I was in my early 20s. I was in the financial services industry, so I taught people all about how to manage their finances. And I met my son's mom through the business, and we got married, and then we had my son in 2003. And so we were side by side. We were connected together, building a business 24/7. I mean, that's what we did. And when my son was born in 2003, it was one of the greatest moments of my life. In fact, I don't ever think anything will come close than watching my son actually being born. It was just unbelievable. But we started getting into some, challenges and some issues, and we ended up going to couples counseling, therapy, all that stuff, on and off for about 3 years trying to deal with stuff. And in 2006, right around June, about this time actually, we just decided to amicably separate for about 90 days to see, let's take one last ditch effort, see if this will work. My son at the time was 3 years old. And so here I am going through this separation. My son, I went from having him daily to seeing him only on the weekends. I started getting into this massive, massive state of depression. And, for all the people that are out there that deal with depression, I feel you. I understand it. I say sometimes depression is like a riptide. It'll just grab a hold of you and it will just not let go. And it's a terrible thing to have to deal with. And so after that summer, in September of that year, we just amicably decided to, get divorced. We tried everything. It just wasn't working. And we didn't want my son to grow up in an environment that wasn't going to be conducive to raising him. And so while I was going through all that, I had built my business over those, probably at the time was about 13 years that we had built the business. And I went to my team and I told them what was going on and said, look, I got to go find a place for my son and I to live. So can you guys kind of run things for me for about a month? Let me get on my feet and I'll be back. Oh, yeah. These are people that have been with me, Martha, for 5, 6, 7 years. These are my core people. And so I found a place for my son, came back ready to rock and roll, only to find out that every single one of those leaders took off. They went to other companies.
No.
Yeah, they jumped ship. They went to other companies. They didn't even tell me what they were going to be doing. They just like left. And that business that I spent 13 years of my blood, sweat, and tears building sank faster than the Titanic. So all of that got me to the place I was in November of that year. I woke up, it was 2 o'clock in the morning, woke up in a cold sweat, and I went out into the living room with a pen, a pad of paper, and a bottle of pills. And I laid on the
Oh
floor
my
of my
goodness.
apartment. Yep. Laid on the floor of my apartment, and I started writing a letter to my son, who at the time was 3.5 years old, trying to explain to him when he got older why his dad took his own life.
Mm,
And it was a really tough, tough place because I was the motivator, the encourager, the nurturer, the one everyone came to with their problems so that I could help them. And here's that guy laying on the floor, getting ready to end it all. And I'm a man of faith, and I always tell the story that I believe that God saved my life that night in that moment because his plans for me were far greater than anything that I had ever thought to myself. And when I gathered myself the next day and just kind of was making sense of what almost happened, I started asking myself, how did it happen? Why did it happen? And what I began to realize, Martha, is that in the times that things were going great, I was mastering my mindset, mastering what I think, what I focus on, what I speak. But in those
mm,
moments, my mindset mastered me. And I lost control of my focus, what I was thinking, speaking, all of that stuff. And really, what it boiled down to for me was doubt. And doubt was so overwhelming in my mind, the doubt of all my friends, my family members, my own self-doubts. And I tell people that doubt literally almost took me out. And that's why 2 years ago, I wrote my best-selling book, Don't Let Doubt Take You Out, talking about my journey. But from that point, I realized that God can always turn your mess into a message. He can turn your test into a testimony. And I said, there's got to be something in here. There's got to be a reason this all happened. And little by little, I started to realize that my goals were way too small based on what my purpose and calling was in my life.
mm.
And I decided that I was going to start taking the things that I learned, the things that I overcame, the things that I went through, and I was going to help people, not necessarily that were on the verge of taking their life. I mean, I help people like that, but really just people that have mentally been in a place where they are stuck. They feel like a shackles holding them back. They're dealing with doubt and fear and imposter syndrome, discouragement, disappointment, worry, anxiety, stress, everything you can think of. And they think, man, I'm never going to get out of this. And I was one of the people that thought that. That's why I was on the floor getting ready to end it all. But I'm here to tell you, you can get out of it. There are ways to get out of it. I'm a living example that you can do it. And so my life now is helping people learn how to master their mindset so their mindset does not master them. That's what I do today.
Wow. So you had the pen in your hand, the paper, the pills on the floor. What was the moment that, because you didn't, it sounded like you didn't take the pills, correct?
No,
What
no.
was the moment that just said, I just can't do this?
I was writing the letter to my son, and I remember it like it was yesterday. And I had wrote to my son, my dear son, I love you more than anything in the world, and there is nothing that is more important to me in my life than you. I said, unfortunately, sometimes life just beats you down and there's just no way out. And so I'm writing this letter to you to explain to you when you grow up why your dad took his own life. And right after I wrote that line, I went into an utter rage. The
Mm,
rage where I was throwing things, hitting things, breaking things, crying, screaming. It was like all of this emotion just poured out of me. And that went on for probably a good half hour. And then after I just calmed myself down to breathe a little bit, I just realized what I almost did. And I thought I almost got to the point where I left my son fatherless, that my son
Right.
would have lost his father. And it was like a wake-up call to, man, God just gave me another chance here. I need to take this and I need to run with this. And that's what I began. That's where my journey began.
Wow, that is so powerful because that's true. You could have went with it and you didn't, and that was so God because He had a better plan. Praise God for that.
Amen.
And because it's interesting because men are it's the statistics show that when men attempt, they actually do it. When they attempt suicide, they actually do it. And so that is so amazing that you did not go through with it at all.
God did not intervene, which I know he did, because if he didn't,
Mhm.
I would not be here right now.
Right.
And I would have missed out on so many incredible things, especially with my son, who is now 22 years old. And the relationship that he and I have is very special, very unique. Um, it's
That's awesome.
it's amazing the memories that we've created over the last, 17 years since that happened, 18 years. And every time I go somewhere with him, even to this day, he's 22. Every time we do something together, I just always think to myself, I almost missed out on this. And it just humbles me and brings me right back to being grateful.
That is such an amazing moment. And I like your book, the title of your book actually, because doubt is so I can't believe how powerful doubt is.
Amazing. It's Martha, there are too many people in this world who suffer in silence. I was one
Yes.
of them. I suffered in silence. I never told anybody what I was going through. I didn't even, my parents didn't even know until 4 years after what I had almost done. They didn't even know. And because that doubt becomes so loud in your mind, telling you all these lies, you're no good, you're never going to make it, you're a failure, you're not a good dad, you're not a good business person, you're not a good mom, you're not a good kid, I mean, and you start believing these lies, and then it becomes escalated and escalated until the fact that you've lost all hope that you're good at anything, that you can do anything, and you're just like, the only thing I could do to silence this noise is I just got to take myself out of the game, which is where I had ended up. But like I said, without God's intervention, I wouldn't be here right now. So I give him all the honor and the glory and the praise because I owe my life to him.
So who's your ideal client?
I believe it or not, it's kind of funny. I have been working primarily with women entrepreneurs for the last 15
Oh.
years. So that has been my primary market. And it's because I think it's part of it because I have that empathetic, compassionate side to me. So I can connect and relate to women business people. And I understand, what it feels like to just be in these dark places. So I work a lot with women entrepreneurs, but my goal is just to work with growth-minded leaders that want
Okay.
to go from being stuck to being unstoppable, that want an actual process, not that was created as a way to simply make money, but as a way that was created from an experience that the person who's teaching it literally lived. And the things that I lived through, the things I learned from it, and the tools that I created because of it that got me from that floor back to where I am. I want to have that ability to work with people that really want to make that shift and that we connect and say, look, let me take you on a 6-week journey with me and we'll change the way you think. We'll change the way you focus your mind. I'll help you with the things that help me, and we'll get you to that place that you have that confidence again in you that says, man, I now believe in me and I believe I can do this.
And so so you on a business, and on the business side and the mentorship side, I see,
Correct.
and which is great because doubt weaves into the minds of entrepreneurs on a regular basis.
Yep.
What are the most popular things you see as you servicing people where doubt creeps in the most?
Oh, man, how long is this podcast? No, I'm just kidding.
I know,
Um,
right?
I mean, we could talk for hours on this topic.
I'm sure.
I'll tell you one huge area. I mean, it's like giving doubt a key to come into your house and hang out. And
Mm,
that's the comparison game. And we don't like to admit that we compare ourselves to people, but we compare ourselves to people even if it's in silence.
yes.
We'll look at somebody and go, well, how come they're having that success and I'm not? Well, what about this? How come they have that? How come they have this? And comparison is the thief of dreams. And
Yes.
doubt will creep into your mind so fast when you start comparing yourself to people around you, what they're doing, what's happening there, what's wrong with me. Then doubt creeps in and said, see, Martha, you're not as good as their podcast. See, Martha, you're not as talented as them. You don't have it all together. And you start buying those lies. And I tell people, when you compare yourself to other people, you become bitter. But when you
Mm,
compare yourself to yourself, you actually become better. And that's the
wow.
only comparison game that you should play with yourself is, am I better today than I was yesterday? That's the
I
only
like that.
comparison game you should play, not with everybody else, because everybody, has gone through things. You don't know what people have gone through in their life. You don't know how long they've struggled. You just see their highlight reels. You don't see what goes behind the highlight reels. They've struggled for
Right.
20 years and now you're seeing their success. You don't know. So that comparison game will take doubt to a whole nother level.
I totally agree with you. When I first started my podcast, I was like, no, I don't like the way my voice sound. And then I was like, who's gonna listen? And then I said, wait a minute, you know what? Just turn the camera on. And then every time I was approaching it, I kid you not, for the first month, I wanted to throw up before I even started.
I get that. And there's people listening that are going, yep, I know how that feels, right? Whether it's a
But I kept
podcast,
at
a
it.
business, doesn't matter.
I kept at it. And I'm like, I mean, my voice, I'm like, it doesn't matter as long as the content that comes out of it is a blessing to someone else. And I just keep going. I don't care about the numbers. If the Lord want to bless it like that, that's fine. I just have my purpose. But doubt has, I'm sure, creeped in on a lot of entrepreneurs when it's time to grow,
Mhm.
when it's
Yes,
time to push the envelope.
big time. Growth always creates doubt. Can I? Do I have what it takes? Am I really good enough? Am I smart enough? Do I know enough? See, just those little things let
Those
doubt
little
creep in.
things.
And I tell people all the time, because people always ask me, well, how do you finally get rid of doubts? And my answer to them is you don't, because it's always going to be hanging around, but you have the ability to figure out, how do I manage the doubts so those doubts don't manage me? And that's what I teach people when I work with them, is how to manage the doubts. Yeah, they're there. I hear them, but I'm going to manage it and keep going anyway and not let that stop me from what God has called me to do with my life. And it's a
Right.
game changer for people.
Wow. I'm surprised you don't. It's interesting. I was surprised to see you work with a lot of women. I was surprised you didn't work with men that suffer in silence.
Yeah, it wasn't something I chose. It was just the way that it all, came together. I mean, I didn't
Right.
wake up one day and say, I'm just going to work with women entrepreneurs. No, I want to work with any entrepreneur, but I'd say 98% of the people I've worked with in the last 15 years have all been women entrepreneurs. So it's just kind of the way it rolled itself out.
But it makes sense too because of the doubt. I mean, doubt, was the trajectory that got you there. And now you're teaching other people how to get rid of the doubt. I mean, not get rid of it, but manage it.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
managing doubt is so important because it can keep you so stuck, right?
Absolutely. That and fear, they go hand in hand. They're like twins. You never find one without the other. Fear will lead into doubt, doubt will lead into fear. So you got to learn how to manage them, or they'll just take you down like they almost took me down.
And so your book, tell us about your book. Is it a workbook? Is it a journal?
I wish I should have I had a copy. I don't have it here with me. I should have brought it. I have
Well,
a
we can
copy.
put the information definitely in a
Sure.
video.
Sure. Yeah, I wrote the book 2 years ago, Don't Let Doubt Take You Out. And it just got different chapters on different things that really lead doubt into our mind. Imposter syndrome, procrastination, the comparison game, things of that nature. And it just kind of has my story intertwined. There's other stories about my business success and failures and things that people can learn from. And there's case studies that I have in there of just like different companies and things and how they implemented the tools that I'm talking about. So it's really a practical, fast read for people that just really want to learn about this and not have it be a long, textbook. It's really
Right.
it's only about 148 pages, but it's packed full of great stuff. And I tell people if they read the book and they actually apply what's written in the book that I give them, they're going to see themselves escalate from where they are.
Wow. So procrastination, that's the one that I want to.
Ah,
Doubt creeps in, procrastination comes up where people think I'm procrastinating because I'm lazy. Tell us about that.
what I tell people, and remember, I said doubt and fear kind of go together.
Yes.
So if you really think about this, and this is going to take maybe somebody to really take a moment and go, huh, all procrastination is rooted in fear. Because
Yes.
when you think about this, what is procrastination? It's putting off what you know you should do because of how you feel about doing it. Well, why do you put it
Mm,
off? Right? Why do you put it off? Because there's some element of fear attached to it that's causing you not to do it. So all procrastination is rooted in fear. The opposite of that is discipline, which is doing what you should do, regardless of how you feel about doing it. That's the person. So procrastination to me is the place where people have not managed that fear because they're putting it off. Discipline is the person that's managed the fear and is doing it anyway. So that's the difference between those two. It's that person that got in that mindset that, yeah, one of the very first books I ever read in business, this was 40 years ago, was by Dr. Susan Jeffers, Jeffers.
okay, I've heard of her.
I never even had to read the book because the title told me the whole book. And the title of her book was Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. So that was the answer.
Yeah,
I
that
just
is the
had to,
answer. Yeah.
right? I just read the title of the book, feel the fear. Okay, so the fear is going to be there. So, and we do it anyway. Well, you only can do it if you know how to manage that fear. If you don't manage the fear, then you don't do it and it turns into procrastination. And you just keep putting it off and off and off until you learn how to manage the fear that's causing you to procrastinate.
Wow. That's what you just said was so powerful and transformative because that's a whole reel.
Yes,
But
it is. That's the whole training I do. That's
that's
part
a
of what
whole
I
that's a
do.
whole reel.
In my coaching program, that's something we work on a lot is procrastination. And it's not just about what you're procrastinating on. It's really digging into why. Where does that fear start from? Where's the root of that fear that's causing you to put off what you need to do? I always jokingly tell people it's like when you're young in school and you find that young man or that young woman and you want to ask them out, but then that fear creeps in about, oh, I don't know, and then the doubt follows, and then what do? You procrastinate. You don't do it. Why didn't you do it? Because you let fear and doubt take over. And now fear and doubt won that battle. So you put it off and put it off until somebody else came along and asked that person out. You're like, oh, I blew my opportunity. No, you just didn't manage the fears and doubts that were keeping you from doing it.
Wow. And a lot of times people think I don't have time, or um my day just slipped by, but it's really truly fear underneath the whole thing.
Yep. Yep. It always is. And we can make every excuse in the book that we want.
Mhm.
We're all busy, but there comes that point where you have to take ownership and go, I'm putting off doing this because I'm afraid of how I'm going to feel. I'm afraid of what they might say. I'm afraid of not knowing what to say if they say something. It's all rooted in some element of fear.
Yes. So what is your onboarding process
For a
for
new
clients?
For clients, well, usually what I'll do with clients is I'll offer them a discovery call or a clarity call. Hop
Okay.
on the phone with me, and there's two things I want to accomplish on that call. I want to get to know where they're at, what their struggles are, and then get to see if there's a mutual opportunity for us to work together. Because when you're doing coaching with people, it's a personal relationship. And I have to make
Yes.
sure for me, as much as they make sure for themselves, that we connect and we're going to be a match. There's some people that I just don't connect with, that I don't work with, and I don't work with everybody. But I get them on a clarity call so that we can find out where they're at and then lay out the program and see if the program that I have fits what they're looking for. And then if it does, then we take them. It's a 6-week program that I take people to. It's called The Confidence Gap, and it's teaching high-level entrepreneurs how to move from stuck to unstoppable. And so we have 6 pillars that we deal with, and many of the things we discussed are part of those pillars that we get into much more detail in. But it's a customized, custom tailored coaching program. So it's not a one size fits all. Everybody comes in and the coaching program is identically the same for everybody. I customize the coaching program for that person based on what I learned in that onboarding process, so that it really hits the things they want to grow in, not the things I just think I need to teach them. And it's done very well for me over the last 15 years. It's made a huge impact in hundreds and hundreds of people's lives all over the world.
Oh, I like that. I like the customization. That's awesome. And
Yeah.
so, if you could give the audience one piece of advice, I know you have many. What would you want to? What nugget would you want to give them? You gave a lot, but
I'm thinking of what would be one. Okay, here's one. Stop listening to people. Stop taking advice or listening to people's opinions that are more screwed up than you are.
I love it.
That's my advice.
I love it.
I hear, Martha, I hear people,
I didn't see that one coming, but I love it.
I hear people when I coach, they do that all the time.
That is so true.
They'll take advice. It's like, don't go ask your bankrupt friend who's in foreclosure, losing their house, hey, what do you think about this financial investment opportunity? I don't think that's the person you should be taking advice from. So don't take advice from people that are more messed up than you are. Find people that are doing what you want to do and go ask them, how did you do this? What advice can you give me? Go up the ladder. Don't go down the ladder. My father came to this country from Argentina when he was in his 20s with $250 in his pocket. And he built an amazing drapery business. We lived in Los Angeles, and my dad was known as the king of drapes. Los Angeles, Orange County, San Diego County, if you want drapes, my dad was at the top of the list. So when I started in my business, because it was in network marketing, my dad built a great business, but a network marketing business is different than just a regular solopreneur business. So
That's true.
right? He didn't understand the dynamics. And boy, he read me the Riot Act, called me all sorts of names. I can't believe you're doing this. What's wrong? And I had to decide, do I do what my dad wants me to do and make him happy, or do I do what I'm called to do and make him proud? And I'm grateful I chose the latter of the two, or my life would be completely different. And I love my dad, and I took life advice from my dad and certain business advice, but because he did not understand how network marketing operated compared to his solopreneur business, I couldn't take advice from him on business. I had to go find somebody who was a success in that profession and say, teach me how you did this. So don't take advice from people that don't understand what you're going through.
That is so true. I mean, I like how you put it. And so with, the fact that, you have a 6-week program for your clients, do you find that they come back for a different reason when you coach them?
Yeah.
Or is the program set up? Because you tailor it based off of.
I'd say if I had to be totally honest, I'd say about 85% of the people I work with come back after the 6 weeks and want to keep on working for another 6 weeks or however long they want to work. I have coaching clients right now that I have literally been working with for 3, 4 years. My longest tenured coaching client, I've been working with her for over 11 years. And you don't work with somebody for 11 years if you're not bringing value to them and how they're growing and what they're doing. And so I think that people love the customization of the program because it's really built for them personally. And so we're really talking about the things that matter to them. And
Right.
sometimes in 6 weeks, they're like, man, we're just getting rolled. Let's keep on going. And then we'll just keep on going from there if they're interested in doing that.
Oh, okay. And so they really get a chance to help. They really get the help they need in areas that's stopping them from moving forward,
Right.
basically. And would that be additional to, like, if they wanted to write a book or open up a business? I know it's open up a business or move them forward in business, but it's all of it. It encompasses all of that, correct?
Martha, I couldn't say better than you just did. It encompasses all of it.
That
Because
is
guess
amazing.
what the thread is between all of that? Your mindset, how
Yes.
you think, how you speak, what you focus on, whether it's writing a book, starting a business. So the thread runs in all of that. And if I can help them with this, then I can help them with the rest of it.
That's awesome. So, can you tell the audience how they can reach you?
Yes,
Although
absolutely.
I will put it in the comments anyway, but
No problem. Yeah, the easiest way to reach me is you can go to my website, which is championmentorship.com, championmentorship.com. And there's a tab there that says contact. You can hit the contact, and if you'd be interested in contacting me, asking me a question, or would like to set up a time to do a 30-minute discovery call where we can, free of charge, just kind of talk about where you're at, see if there's a match, you can just send me an email through the contact page. I get it myself. I respond to them myself, and I'll reach out to anybody that sends me one and get in contact with them.
well, thank you. So I'm so glad you came on.
Thanks
You
for
have a
inviting me.
I had to when I saw you speak, and I said I have to have him on my podcast. And
Thank
so and I know you have probably a ton of people that you speak in front of and help. So that's amazing. It's so good to see coaches out here doing justice for people. And I love to see that. So when I saw you do the interview, I said I have to have him because I know he's doing amazing things for people and serving people. So continue to do what you do. So
Thank
grateful that God intervened on your plan. And
you.
and now he puts you on a trajectory to fulfill your purpose. So that's
Absolutely.
amazing.
Well, thank you for reaching out to me and asking me to be on your podcast. That means a lot to me, and I appreciate you and support all the work that you're doing because you too, my friend, are doing a fantastic job.
Thank you. And so, to the audience, if you feel that this has been amazing, and I know you have, do share. And if you know someone who's dealing with doubt or trying to start a business but don't know how, anything in relation to entrepreneurship or anything relating to moving forward in doubt, please do reach out to Coach Jerry. He will be an amazing coach to those who want to move forward. We need those entrepreneurs to move forward because that's their purpose and we want to see them thrive. And so we just want to say thank you so much for listening, and we are signing off.
It's your time to shine, your journey to chart. Coach Rice wisdom will heal every heart. So join us now, let's make life suffice. Welcome to Mondays with Coach Rice.